Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today's video continuing the series I've been doing, ranking or counting down my 100 favorite movies from the 1980s. This is due to Ryan from Real Talks with Ryan, who won my Oscar predicting contest and wanted me to do a ranking of 80s movies. Anyway, so yeah, I've already covered about 50 movies so far. Got 50 more movies to cover, my top 50 favorite. So today we'll do 50 through 41. So yeah, a lot of real good hidden gems here. So hope you enjoy this here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Saturday afternoon. Hope you all having a great weekend. And yeah, getting to my top 50 favorite movies from the 1980s. Let's start at number 50 with broadcast news. I always feel like this is kind of an underrated movie, even though it was nominated for Best Picture. It had a lot of Oscar nominations, in fact. It has a pretty good cast overall, though I don't feel like this is a movie people talk about a lot or is discussed a lot. It was one of those kind of, to me, almost, like I said, maybe, to me it was a hidden gem because it was a movie I kind of knew about, and then when I finally saw it, I was like, wow, this was much better than I expected. I wasn't expecting that much out of it. And then I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is a really good movie, and definitely one you should check out if you haven't seen it or if you haven't heard of it. But broadcast news, it stars Holly Hunter. She's this female, she works in the news broadcasting, and she's kind of a manager, like a news manager who kind of organizes everything and, tells the cameras what to do. And, she's obviously a very career-minded woman who doesn't really have a lot of time for relationships or whatever. And she works really hard because she wants to get up. She wants to move up into her career and all this stuff. And she's very good at what she does. And we have kind of cast of characters like Joan Cusack is in here. Albert Brooks is in here as well. I want to say he's like a camera guy or something like that. He's kind of works on when they're on site somewhere. She's often communicating with him on what's going on, what do you call those, on, when they're at the location. So he's there, but it's funny, he's like good at what he does, but he's not very good at being in front of a camera. So he doesn't have an in front of a camera job. He's kind of behind the scenes job. One time they do put him in front of the camera and he does a bad job. So they tell him like, okay, you're not cut out to be in front of the camera. Even though he's very smart and he knows a lot about the news or how to do it and all this. So it kind of plays with, some people are good in front of the camera, some are good behind the cameras, and they're two different skill sets. The movie kind of deals with that. I thought it was kind of interesting. But then we have a new news anchor played by William Hurt. He's kind of a younger, he's not like really smart. He doesn't really know what he's doing necessarily, but he's a quick learner and he's good in front of a camera, and he's good at telling stories and feeling the emotions of the story. He's kind of acts on camera, like he's a good actor on camera. So if he's not good at coming up with the stuff, but people can feed him the lines to say, he can make the lines look good, So again, it's this interesting thing where you got the people behind the camera are the ones coming up with the ideas that are make sure everything's run correctly, and then you got the guy in front of the camera who doesn't really know how to do all that stuff, but he knows how to look good in front of the camera and talk to people in the camera and look good and all that. So it's, like I said, it's really interesting, the skill set and how this William Hurt, this new character, comes in. And Holly Hunter, of course, kind of falls for him. They start dating. Albert Brooks, he's in love with Holly Hunter, but he's not good looking like William Hurt is. So there's this feeling of like jealousy of like, you only like him because he's good looking. Like, I'm smart. I'm, all these things. He's just good looking. That's all you care about, So it does play with that idea of relationships that sometimes you just like someone who's good looking. That's sometimes how it comes all down to. And those of us aren't as good looking, we're kind of jealous because we're like, gosh, how about me? I got all these other things I can offer. But anyways, so it kind of deals with that. And yeah, again, it deals with what is ethically right, in front of camera. And William Hurt's character, he kind of does some things to manipulate emotions out of the audience. And there's kind of a question of, is that morally right to even lie in front of the camera to get emotions out of people anyways, just so people tune into the news. So it deals with those ideas very interesting. And yeah, it's overall a pretty funny movie. It's mostly a comedy, I would say. And there's some dramatic moments with the relationships and stuff like that. Everybody does a great job. I mean, these are some great actors from the 80s. Holly Hunter does a really good job here. She was nominated for Best Actress. William Hurt, probably the best actor of the 80s. He got nominated quite a bit, and he got nominated for Best Actor for this as well. Albert Brooks, as a really comedic actor and comedic role, got Best Supporting Actor, in fact. So yeah, the Academy really loved. They didn't win any awards, but they got nominated for quite a bit, including Best Picture and Screenplay. But yeah, it's a fun movie and kind of a good, interesting idea of behind the camera, in front of the camera. It gives you a, I don't know how accurate it is to news, like how news programs work, but if it is, it's kind of interesting to look at the news organization anyway. So yeah, broadcast news here at number 50. Number 49 is one of my favorite music biopics, and that is The Coal Miner's Daughter. Or Coal Miner's Daughter. And this stars Sissy Spacek as Loretta Lynn. Kind of goes through the life of Loretta Lynn, who became a famous country singer. I'm not that familiar with her because I didn't listen to country growing up as much. Or if I did listen to some country, but it was 90s country. I didn't really listen to the older country, which this is, I don't know if this is 60s, 70s, whatever. Maybe an older, I don't know. She's kind of one of those very old country singers that really got huge. She's very well loved in the country music world, I believe. If Jacob Martin's watching this, he can probably say more about her. I know my wife, I think, was even a fan of hers as well. I think she died pretty recently, just the last couple of years, I want to say. So she lived a pretty long life and all that. And yeah, so this kind of goes through, again, her dad was a coal miner. They're living in, I don't know, they're living probably in Kentucky or Tennessee or somewhere in the minings, West Virginia or whatever. Very poor. They were living very poor, and out, they're very kind of country, bumpkins, and she ends up falling in love with a guy played by Tommy Lee Jones, who's kind of an older guy, not old, but because she was pretty young when she got married. I feel like she was like, like 15, 16 or something. It was one of those things where she was like super young when she got married, I think, and so she marries Tommy Lee Jones's character, and then they have kind of a bad relationship. He's a bit abusive towards her. In fact, they almost kind of break up, basically, but then she gets pregnant, so then they stay together, and she ends up having a lot of kids. In fact, he jokes, like, because he says, you can't cook very well, you're not very good in bed, like, you're not a very good wife, kind of thing. He kind of dresses her down. And then she gets pregnant, he says, okay, maybe we found something you're good at, So, I mean, it's a terrible thing to say, but she did have a lot of kids, so they did find that. Anyways, and so it's like she's kind of living this, like I said, not a great life. I mean, she has not a great husband, kind of abusive. She has all these kids she has to take care of. She's kind of a stay-at-home mom, of course. And then he gives her a guitar for her birthday because she likes to sing, and she's a good singer. And so he buys her a guitar and thought she would like to play the guitar and sing. Anyways, and so she starts doing that. Turns out she's very good. She starts writing her own songs. And he notices how good she is, so he has her sing live. Kind of surprises her. She was kind of not into it, but then she started singing some of her songs live, and people started really liking it. And so he saw that, hey, we can make money at this. So he kind of he records some of her songs, and him and her go around to radio stations, trying to sell them on this new album that they kind of independently made and put out there anyways. And so kind of this, unorthodox kind of way of getting into the music business. But surely enough, her songs started getting on the radio, and she ended up becoming very famous. And then the relationship kind of changed because now she's famous and she's making the money and he's not, and he's feeling less of a man because his wife's making the money. And a lot of relationship problems there. Anyway, so it goes through and has a lot of songs and all this. Overall, really good biopic. Even if it's somebody I didn't really know that well. And the songs are fine. I'm not like a big fan of hers. But I do find the story, I thought overall pretty good. Really good performances. Really pretty young Tommy Lee Jones. One of the first movies I've seen him in. And Sissy Spacek won the Oscar for Best Actress, I believe, this came out in 1980. So she won an Oscar for it because she did her own guitar playing, her own singing is one of those things, and she's a very good actress anyways. But yeah, It depends. If you some people like biopics, music biopics, some don't. I like music biopics for the most part. If I like the artist, sometimes it depends. But sometimes, even in a case like this, it's a really good story or interesting story with good, interesting characters and great cast. And yeah, even though I'm not a big fan of music, I still enjoyed this movie quite a bit. Kind of grew up watching it, actually. I think my mom's a fan of this movie, so I used to watch it as a kid anyway. So yeah, number 49, Coal Miner's Daughter. Number 48, we have a musical called Annie. I'm a big on musicals. I'm a pretty big fan of musicals overall. Annie was a movie I watched since I was a kid. I kind of remember watching this as a kid and always really enjoyed this movie. I didn't know if I would love it that much, but then rewatching this movie, I was like, man, this music is so good. Um, I don't know how much well beloved this is. It's obviously a beloved Broadway musical. It used to be a Broadway, or it's a Broadway musical that's been played many times. It's very famous because the main girl Annie has curly red hair. It's kind of she has a very she has an image that everybody knows Annie. She's a little girl uh, with the red curly hair. So she has a real look to her that everybody knows, and she's an orphan. And all deals with being in an orphanage and being abused in the orphanage, and all this, and then her getting lucky and getting rich. This rich, I don't know if he's a politician, but Daddy Warbucks ends up getting her to do like public photos to try and make his image look better. But of course, he ends up adopting her in the end. That's a whole story. It's a really good, underdog story. You really feel it for Annie because she's a good kid. And like I said, Miss Hannigan, played by Carol Burnett, is a horrible person who runs orphanage, and she's abusive to all the little girls. And of course, they're all sad because they don't have parents and they're trying to get adopted and all that. And you got a whole storyline. And then Miss Hannigan, once they found out that she has money, I think at some point they found out that she actually has. I don't know if it's her parents had money. They found out who her parents are, and they died or something like that. And so she's going to inherit some money. So then they try to figure out a scheme to get Annie back in order to get all this money. And we got a young Tim Curry here. I think maybe the first movie Tim Curry ever was in. It's crazy to see him here. He's kind of a villain character, the Rooster. But really cool seeing Tim Curry, and forgetting he's actually really good in musicals. He's in a lot of musicals himself. He's so good. He's such a great actor. They have Bernadette Peters also, who's also really well known for musicals, is here as well. Very young Bernadette Peters. I mean, Carol Burnett, of course, is a comedy icon, though she's playing it really horrible. She's really good at playing horrible. Like, as a kid, I was kind of scared of her. There was moments when anytime Miss Hannigan showed up, I was like I was scared as a kid. Like, really did not like her. And of course, that was the purpose. But overall, the songs are so good. I mean, obviously, we know about Tomorrow's the very iconic song. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you tomorrow. Anyways, very positive, very uplifting song. Done very well. The main actress who plays Eileen Quinlan, or whatever his name's, I forget now her name, but the little girl in this that plays Annie, oh man, she's so good in this role. Really good casting there. But there's some good stuff. Hard Knock Life is such a fun sequence with all the orphans cleaning and singing the Hard Knock Life and like going down the stairs. And it's a super catchy song, really well choreographed. One of my favorite sequences in the movie. Maybe is such a beautiful song. Her looking out the window and kind of, maybe someday, life will get better or whatever. It's a really beautiful song that I forget about. And then when I watch the movie, I'm like, man, that song's so good. It's not one of the big numbers, but love that. And they play it a couple times, and there's, the song where she gets into the mansion, Daddy Warbucks mansion, and she's being pampered by all these people. And there's a really good song in that as well. Anyways, and it's kind of nice and sweet. Daddy Warbucks is kind of played by the great, not me forget his name, but Albert Finney. Albert Finney is so good. First time I've seen Albert Finney in a movie. It's crazy. He's so good as this kind of grumpy, he's bald, he's grumpy, super rich. But then he softens his heart, and he falls, and he adopts Annie at the end, So there's a really sweet relationship between this very grumpy Daddy Warbucks and the sweet Annie. Anyway, so overall, yeah, nice story, really great, happy ending, great music. Yeah, so here, Andy, number 48. Number 47, this might be controversial, but I have Die Hard here. I know, hear me out. I know, Die Hard is probably number one for a lot of people. It's probably a top 10 movie. A lot of people say it's the greatest action movie of all time. I'm not as huge on this as most people are. It is iconic, and so I had to put it in here, I felt like. It does have its great moments. Bruce Willis is kind of the movie that really made him famous, it felt like. He's great in the role, and I actually like him in the sequels as well. I think it's a great character. It's been probably Bruce Willis's best character he's ever done, his biggest franchise he's been a part of that I can think of. When you think of Bruce Willis, I think you think Die Hard. And he's really kind of a guy who can do comedy and all this. I feel like he's almost more of a comedy actor until this movie. Then he kind of became an action star as well, which is very interesting. And you got Alan Rickman playing the villain. I love Alan Rickman. He's such a good actor. He's really good as this. I think he's like a Russian villain who, of course, the whole movie is he's visiting his wife. They're getting divorced, something like that, at a Christmas party. And no, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I Will Die on the Hill. It's so stupid that people say it's a Christmas movie. I'm sorry, it's not a Christmas movie. It's an action movie that takes place around Christmas. Okay, that's what I'll say about that. But anyways, so they're at a Christmas party, whatever, and they this Russian terrorists, whatever, take over this building, and they're all held hostage. But they don't know Bruce Willis is there, and Bruce Willis is a cop, and so then from the inside, he has to try to figure out how to take out these terrorists, and he's in contact with the police as well. As an action, it's not really that much action in it. There's a little bit here and there. It's mostly Bruce Willis kind of snooping around, trying to figure out how to, what's going on, what is the end game for these people. So as far as action goes, I don't think it's that great of an action movie. Bruce Willis is good in it, though. It's a good character. He's good. Al Rickman's great. It's interesting. There's a little bit of twist in there of why they're there exactly. And why they're taking hostages, and he is a horrible. He murders without regret and all that. I don't know. It's not, the action, like I said, is not that memorable. I actually like Live Free or Die Hard. I think is actually a better Die Hard movie because there's a lot of action, lots of shootouts, all kinds of cool stuff. Anyways, and it takes place all over wherever they are, New York, whatever. This whole movie just takes place in one building, so I don't know. I'm not as big fan of just the whole movie taking place in one building. That's just me. But anyways, I know people love this movie. It's definitely, anytime you have a movie where it's an action movie, it takes place in one place, they call it a Die Hard ripoff. Anyways, I get that. And there's some good moments like when he tapes the gun to his back and he doesn't have a shirt on and he grabs the taped gun. That was pretty cool. Overall, iconic movie, not one of my favorites, but I have here at number 47, Die Hard. Number 46, a very underrated movie, and this is Chariots of Fire. Even though this did win Best Picture, I think in 81, I think it was around 81, it won Best Picture. It's considered one of the worst Best Picture winners. It's somewhat forgettable for a lot of people. It's not really talked about at all. It's not a big movie necessarily, but I really like this movie. I think it's underrated, like I said. It's got some good, it's got a good story, good messaging around it. It all takes place of these Olympic runners, track and field runners, getting ready for the Olympics in Paris in like the 1920s, I think. And there's two runners that really kind of are the main characters. One runner, I think his name is Jim Elliott, who is Scottish, actually. I think so. They're English, yeah. So he's Scottish, but he's running for, I guess UK or whatever in the Olympics. And he's a really like the fastest runner in England, the fastest runner in the world. And he's Christian and he won't run on Sunday. And one of the Olympic events is on Sunday and he refuses to run because of his religious beliefs. So it's a big, controversy thing of them like trying to get him to, but he won't go back on his religious beliefs. And so I love that about the character. As a Christian myself, I love the idea of somebody not compromising their religious beliefs just to win a medal, So it's a very, I love that character, and it's based on a true story, of course. Jim Elliott, I think his name's Jim Elliott. I might be getting this wrong. But he would go run at the Olympics, win a medal, and then he quit and was a missionary for the rest of his life. And so Really cool story of this guy who cared more about, being a missionary than being a famous runner, So it's really humbling, he's a very humble person. And he just does it to praise God or uh, you know, it's all in God's glory, basically, when he runs. He kind of makes that very apparent, In fact, my favorite line from the movie is when he says this in one part of the movie, and at the very end, they say it again. I love it, is that, God made me to run fast. And when I run, I feel God with me. And I just love that line of like him saying, like, because some of his Christian, like his sister, I think who's a missionary too, kind of tells him that he shouldn't be running the Olympics, like he's doing it for himself or something like that. And that's when he tells her, yeah, it's like, no, God created me to be fast, so I feel like I should use the skill that he's given me, and and I feel God's glory or whatever when I'm running fast, and and so I feel like I should use my abilities here. Anyway, so I love that about him. The other character is Jewish, and he is mad because Elliot is a better runner than him, so he gets a coach played by Ian Holmes, who gets nominated for Best Supporting Actor, actually. Really good performance as his running coach, who helps him get better as a runner. Now, he doesn't have to race against Elliot because Elliot won't run on Sunday, so he actually so he doesn't race against him, and it gives him an opportunity to win a gold medal, which is his ultimate goal. And of course, he has to deal with anti-Semitism because he's Jewish. So the movie deals with, religious, one Jewish, one Christian, and the problems they come up with in the Olympics. And it's got a great score, the bum, 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 bum. Oh man, it's one of the great scores of all time. And it's overall, like I said, I love the ending when they're running in slow motion. And Elliot says, I feel God's, when I'm running. I love that. Overall, I thought it was a really good movie. So I have Chariots of Fire number 46 on my list. Number 45, I've got Rocky 3. Yeah. Third Rocky movie. I know Rashad G, this is his favorite movie of all time. So I don't have as high as him. Still, I have it in here. I'm a big fan of the Rocky series. Rocky, the first movie, is one of my favorite movies of all time. Rocky 3, I still very enjoy the movie. I love how the character progresses here. When we see him in the first movie, he's just an underdog who's never fought in the big fight. Second movie, he finally wins the championship against Apollo Creed, and he gets married, and you have all that. And then you get to the third movie, and it's all about him being a champion, and he's kind of retiring because he's been a champion for a while. He's going to retire with the belt. And then you got this new up-and-comer, played by Mr. T, Clubber Lang. What a great character, and Mr. T is so good. He's such a great villainous kind of character. Probably my favorite in the whole series as far as opponents that Rocky has to go up against. And what a jerk. I mean, you really hate him right away. He's so good at being hateful. But he wants a shot at the title before Rocky retires because he accuses Rocky of always dodging him and never fighting the big fighters and always only fighting the, weaker fighters or something like that. Anyway, so he challenges him, loses the belt. I'm spoiling the movie here, but he loses the belt, and now he has to and he lost the belt because he became complacent. He no longer had the eye of the tiger, the fire in him. And so I love just the progressing of the character from being underdog to champion to now he's complacent and he gets beat by a younger, more hungry champion, and now he has to find that hunger again. I love that. It's a really good character arc for the character through 3 movies. In my opinion, they probably could have stopped at the 3rd movie, and that would have been a great trilogy. But they kept going because it's a really good character arc for him. They have to go back in the gym and find the eye of the tiger, as they say. And of course, Eye of the Tiger is such a great song. It's just a great beginning to this movie. Love Carl Weathers is coming back as Apollo and training here. He was opponent for the first 2 movies. Now he's training Rocky to go back and get his championship back from Clubber Lang anyway. So yeah, I love the overall story. Good last match against Clubber Lang. So yeah, classic Rocky movie here. Rocky 3 at number 45. Number 44, I've got A Fish Called Wanda. Really good comedy, very interesting comedy. Here you got John Cleese from Monty Python, kind of one of the leads. You also have Jamie Lee Curtis, and Kevin Kline in an Oscar-winning performance, playing these con artists, and they're trying to con John Cleese, who's a judge, an English judge, and so they got this. And Jamie Lee Curtis is good looking, so she uses her good looks to get to know these men, and then they end up conning them. Michael Palin has a small part here, who also wrote the screenplay. So you got two Monty Python, Monty Python actors here, and yeah, very funny movie. Kevin Kline steals every scene. You have to be pretty funny when you win an Oscar just for being funny, and he won an Oscar because he was hilarious in this movie. He's crazy, he's off the wall. You never know what he's going to do. It's a really fun character. Cleese is great too. Love Cleese here, and I won't say too much. I have to keep moving on, but overall, just a really bonkers comedy that I think if you haven't seen it, definitely watch this one. Fish Called Wanda, number 44. Number 43, another comedy that I wasn't expecting much out of, and it was really, really good, and that's Tootsie. You might know Tootsie. This is Dustin Hoffman. He plays an actor who is hard to work with, which he was known for in real life, almost meta for him. And so he dresses up like a woman and sees if he can get an acting role as a woman, because he can't as a man because nobody wants to work with him. So he makes up this whole new character and gives it a southern accent, and then he goes and gets a role like on a soap opera kind of show. And when you hear those words, okay, it's a guy dressed up like a girl, and he gets he has to pretend to be a girl amongst everybody, and you think, it's a little cringy, the idea, because we've seen that done in many other aspects, but it was actually done very well in this movie. Like, I was surprised at how good Dustin Hoffman is when he pretends to be a girl, and the makeup work they do and everything. He actually does look like a girl. He does a good job. Even the accent, the southern accent he puts on as a female. Yeah, he's believable as a female, so I'll give him a lot of props. Like, I didn't think they could do it, but they pulled it off. I'm like, yeah, he could pass as a woman, the way the way he looks and the way he talks. So that's where I think the movie really is successful. And Dustin Hoffman got a nomination for Best Actor for good reason, because he does pull off something pretty incredible here. And again, this is interesting. This movie is really funny. It's really a comedy, and I found myself laughing quite a bit. You got Jessica Lange, who won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. Gina Davis is here. Dabney Coleman is great. Terry Garr. And Bill Murray, he has a very small role, but very funny in what he does. And yeah, it's funny how this movie is very comedic, and you're like, where's it going? And there's a romance going on. And the ending is so funny when he reveals that he's actually a man on television, and everybody's shocked, especially the guys who sexually harassed him during the not knowing that it was actually a guy. It's really funny stuff. But nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor, I believe, Best Supporting Actress win. Charles Durning is also in here. So great cast. Sidney Pollack directed and co-starred in the movie as well. Yeah, don't let the whole guy dressing like girl put you off. It's actually a very funny comedy. So I got Tootsie here at number 43. Number 42, I got The Great Muppet Caper. I'm a big fan of the Muppets, and this was my favorite Muppet movie growing up. I had this on VHS tape and watched the heck out of it. Absolutely hilarious. I love that we have, usually Muppets are, they all know each other, and they're all going to get together and put a show on to make money or something like that. That's usually it's all about putting on a show. This is the one where it has nothing to do with that, and they're all playing different characters, and they don't know each other. And so it's a very interesting, one of the more interesting stories that they've actually done, where Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo are journalists trying to get a big newspaper story, anyways, and so there's this whole diamond getting stolen, so they go investigate this whole diamond thing, and then you get into all these other funny characters. Of course, Kermit meets Miss Piggy, who's trying to be a model, and they fall in love and all that stuff. So you have that whole storyline that you always have in these movies. But again, very funny, great fourth wall breaking. I love the starting off when they get thrown off a plane and they're on parachutes, and we see the credits, and they're reading the credits as the credits are going up. brilliant. Love that. Like, that was one of the funniest fourth wall breaks I've ever seen, where they're commenting on the credits as they're rolling at the beginning of the movie. But you have a lot of that great fourth wall breaking meta humor that I love about the Muppets. Yeah, overall, just a really funny story with the Muppets anyway. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this. I have number 42, The Great Muppet Caper. And in this list today, at 41, I got Superman 2. Yeah, I do love these first two Superman. I've been a big fan since I was a kid. These Christopher Reeve Superman stories, and I'm still believe that Christopher Reeves is the best Superman. Even we got a new Superman coming out. I like Henry Cavill is really good. I still think Christopher Reeves is the best Superman. Just not only does he have a good look as Superman, but as Clark Kent, he is so good. Where he's such a nerdy looking guy, and the way he changes, the way he talks, and he just really good acting performance, I think, by Christopher Reeves. You really believe he's Clark Kent when he's Clark Kent, and you really believe he's Superman when he's Superman. But anyways, I love this story because you have Zod and the other two from Krypton. And so I love the fighting that you have, you know. In the first movie, there was nobody that really can match him. But now here you got three people who have the same strength and power as Superman, so he really is in a bind here. The love story is not that great. I'm not as... Margaret Kidder, I don't think, was a very good Lois Lane. The love story between him and Lois Lane, not that great. But I do love the parts with Zod and, you know, the other two trying to take over and him having to fight them three. And then, of course, Lex Luthor gets involved. Gene Hackman, so good. The best Lex Luthor we'll probably ever have, I'm sure. I love the ending. It's such a surprise kind of ending, a twist, where it looks like they defeated Superman, and they have Superman bow, and then Superman takes his hand and crushes Zod's hand, and you realize, oh, he didn't lose his powers, they lost their power. I'm spoiling it, but that's one of the great moments, I think. I absolutely love that moment when they realize that they were defeated by Superman, and then he uses his powers to defeat them. Oh my gosh, so good. Yeah, I really like Superman. These two, I really like Christopher. The next two movies are terrible. Unfortunately, Superman 3 and 4, not very good, but the first two, great. And so I have Superman 2 here. A lot of good memories of watching this as a kid. And kind of my first superhero movie I ever saw was Superman 1 and 2 at this point anyway. So that's what I got here. At number 41, Superman 2. So that's my 50 to 41. Feel free to comment. What do you think about these movies? Have you seen them? Are there some favorites here of yours as well? Love to see any of your comments. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for liking it, and thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. Hope you all have a good weekend.